Good morning, grade 7s. Welcome to the flipped classroom, where we're going to do a lesson on reducing fractions to lowest terms using the divisibility rules. Do me a favor now and turn to page 204 in your math textbook. Okay, grade 7s, we're going to look at example 3 on page 204, where we're asked to reduce 12 over 42 to lowest terms. The first applicable rule for 12 and 42 is that it's an even number. So because they're both even, they're divisible by 2. So that's exactly what they do. They take 12 and 42 and they divide both the top and the bottom by 2, and the new fraction is 6 over 21. If you were doing this problem, I expect you to understand and know that 6 is divisible by 3, because we all know that 2 times 3 is 6. We also know 21 is divisible by 3, because if we add up the sum of the digits, 2 plus 1, it adds up to 3. And when the sum of the digits adds up to 3, we know it's divisible by 3. And maybe you even knew that, well, 3 times 7 is 21, and you didn't even need to know that rule. So they divided both the top and the bottom, in this case, by 3. And they get a new fraction of 2 over 7. Notice the thought bubble over here to the right. Can you divide again? Well, let's take a look. If you found the common factors between 2 and 7, the only one they actually have in common is 1. So once you get down to the fact that they only have 1 in common, you're done. So 12 over 42 in lowest terms is 2 over 7. Okay, now we established one method of reducing that fraction to lowest terms. I'd like you all turn now to page 205. There's a second way we can do these problems, known as the greatest common factor, or more commonly known as the GCF. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a second way we can approach this problem. We can use the greatest common factor method. We use the divisibility rules to determine all the factors for 12. And then we use the divisibility rules to find all the factors for 42. And then we figure out what they have in common and what's the largest number they have in common. So we start off with 12 is divisible by 1, because 12 times 1 is 12. 12 is divisible by 2 because we know it's even, so we know 6 times 2 is 12. 12 is divisible by 3 because the sum of the digits, 1 plus 2 is 3. So therefore 3 times 4 is 12. So we end up with our factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Same idea for 42. We know everything's divisible by 1, of course. We know 42 is even, so we know 42 divided by 2 is going to be 2 times 21. We know it's divisible by 3 because 4 plus 2 is 6. So we get 3 and 14. And then 42 is also divisible by 6 because the rule for 2 and the rule for 3 work. 6 times 7 is 42. So all the factors of 42 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 14, and 21, and also 42. So then you kind of analyze and you look for the largest number they have in common. So I'm comparing this group of numbers up here to this group of numbers down here. And I notice that the biggest number they have in common is 6 here, and there's just 6 here. So in order to write 12 over 42 in those terms, we're going to divide the numerator and the denominator by the greatest common factor, 6. And they do that down here. I'll just slide this up a little bit. And you can see they divide the top by 6, the bottom by 6, getting that same fraction of 2 over 7. Okay, grade 7s, I want you to look at the bottom of the page and look at the show you know, which is looking like this right here. I'll just make this a bit bigger so you can all sort of. I want you to try these 2 questions. Pause the video now and see if you're able to successfully complete the problem. Okay, So looking at 20 over 24, the first thing I notice is they're both even numbers, so they're divisible by 2. So I'll do that. Alright, so 20 over 24, I'm going to divide both those by 2. When I do that, I get 10 over 12. I think I'll just apply that same rule of divisibility to both even numbers. I'll cut them half again, and that's going to be 5 over 6. So if you got 5 over 6 as your answer, congratulations, you are correct. If you did not, review this video and try it again. The other fraction you were asked to do is very similar to that problem, 12 over 18. So there's a couple of divisibility rules you could use here, but I think we're going to just go with the even numbers again. Cut them in half, divided by 2, 12 divided by 2 is 6, 18 divided by 2 is 9. Then I look at that again and say, well, I can't use the rule for 2 anymore because 9 is not an even number, but I think the rule for 3 could work here, because we know 6 is divisible by 3, which is going to give us 2, and we know 9 is divisible by 3, which gives us 3. So you can see in this first instance, I divided by 2 because the even numbers worked. Then I had this odd number 9. I couldn't divide by 2 anymore, so I divided by 3 here and divided by 3 here. If you got 2/3 for this question, give yourself a pat in the back. Well done. Okay, grade 7s, right now I'd like you to turn to page 207 in your textbook. You do some practice. Your assignment is going to be, let me just get it open here for you. We'll take a look. Okay, grade 7s, page 207, I'd like you to do the following questions for practice. 10, 12, 14, 15, and 16. Pause the video and write that assignment in your notebook now so you don't forget what it is. Although you can watch this video tonight as well, at home if you need to. So to be clear on what we're doing, you're doing number 10, 12, 14, and I want you to do both 15 and 16. Once you finish your textbook work, there will be an assignment that I will take in and mark for you. And just a reminder that the answers for these questions, these 10, 12, 14, 15, and 16, are at the back of the book. So if you're not sure, like if you missed a factor or something like that, or if you're not sure if you reduce one of these fractions all the way down, check the back of the book, see what the answer should be. If you got something different, then revisit the question and figure out where you went wrong. And if you can't, of course, ask questions. Ask me, ask a friend, ask your parents, anyone who can help you, or Miss Bot. Miss Bot's probably in the room with you right now as you're doing this exercise. For question 14, it asks you to include a Venn diagram. If you're comfortable using a Venn diagram, you can, but you don't have to. As long as you find the common factors of 10 and 30 using any method you like, that's fine, and eventually you have to find the greatest common factor, the GCF, as well. Well, that concludes your lesson with Math with Mr. C. Hopefully this was helpful, and if you forget how to reduce a fraction using your divisibility rules, you can always listen to this video again, or even just go to the textbook and go through the examples yourself. They are quite easily laid out and should be helpful. Cheers.